Welcome back. So we're starting on solving two-step equations, which is basically just taking the one-step equations and combining them. So our goal is to get the variable by itself. And in order to do that, I've got to do inverse operations. And so inverse, because we didn't really talk about this in the last one, inverse operations are the opposite operation. So we're always going to start with our constant, or 90% of the time we're going to start with our constant. In this case, that's the plus 12. And again, just like with our one-step equations, I want to make that 0. So since this is a positive 12, I am going to subtract 12 from both sides. And so that's us using the subtraction property of equality that we learned in the last lesson. And so I still have the x divided by 4. And this is how I want you to show your work. Equals, and then 32 minus 12 is 20. So again, like I said, this is how I would like for you to show your work at this point in time. Now, x over 4 is the same as x divided by 4. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. That's using that multiplication property of equality. And 4 divided by 4 is 1, so we're left with x equals, and then 20 times 4 is 80. And if I want to make sure that that is the correct answer, then I substitute it back in. 80 divided by 4 plus 12. And so 80 divided by 4 is 20, plus 12 is 32, and therefore 32 equals 32. And our answer is correct. And so that's how we check our answers. And all of that can happen within the calculator that you're getting to use now. So you can plug that into the calculator and just make sure that what you found for your variable is correct. All right, so this one, same thing. It's just we reversed it. Our variable is on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. I still want to make my constant 0, so where this is a positive 3, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Now, this is where some students make a mistake because they think that it's only based off of the operation happening, but it's not. It's based off the fact that whatever the sign of my constant is. So in this case, it's positive. Excuse me. So I want to subtract to make it 0 on this side. 35 minus 3 is 32, is equal to 5x. And then I want to get the x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Now, you may sit there and go, but Mrs. Cartwright, this can't be right because we're ending up with a fraction, and that's okay. Nothing goes into both 32 and 5, and so 32 fifths is our answer. Most likely it will just ask you for a simplified fraction. If it doesn't, then we do what we did before with the 32 divided by 5. We know 5 goes in there 6 times, and we have 2 remaining. So it would be 6 and 2 fifths would be our answer, but most likely this is going to work. All right, from there, if I need to check, I can do 3 plus 5 times 32 to fifths. And then this is 5 over 1, so our 5's divide out, and I've got 3 plus 32, which is 35. And so that is the answer that we want. All right, so now a word problem. All right, so we have a 22.8 pound cat, and he or she needs to lose weight. If the owner follows the vet's weight loss plan, the cat will lose 0.4 pounds per month. How many months until the cat will weigh 14 pounds? All right, so some keywords when we're writing equations: per. That's normally where our coefficient comes in. So this is going to be our multiplication here. Things like total, excuse me, we're starting, this is our starting weight. So So we know that we're starting at 22.8 pounds. We are losing, right? So that means negative or subtraction, either way. Losing 0.4 per month, so I'm going to call that M. And we want to know when he will get down, or she, down to 14 pounds. So here's our setup. I am going to start by subtracting 22.8 from both sides. Do not drop this negative here. That negative stays with the 0.4. So negative 0.4 M will equal, now 14 minus 22.8 is negative 8.8. I know it's going to be negative because the 22 is bigger than the 14. And then from there we just subtract. Now I need to get M by itself, so the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we're going to divide by a negative 0.4. Divide by a negative 0.4, because what I do to one side I have to do equally to the other. And so M will equal 22. Negative divided by negative is positive. So it'll take 22 months. So almost 2 years before the cat is down to 14 pounds. So again, things that I looked for, per, that's where our multiplication is going to be. That is normally, we got to read the problem very carefully, but normally per indicates where our variable is going to go. So that is a big clue for me, especially if it only happens once in the sentence or in the paragraph. Then I know that that is where my variable is. All right, example 4. Here we have ends, and so what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. They're on the same side of the equal sign, and so we just add them together. So we combine them. So 13.6 plus 12 will give us 25.6n equal to 128. Now, I drew this line in between, or through the equal sign, because once we get further along, we're going to have variables on both sides, and so we need to be able to tell the difference. And so if it helps, you can draw that line through the equal sign, and if your variables are on the same side, then you just combine them together. We'll talk more about that when we get to the slightly more difficult. From here, we're going to divide both sides by 25.6. And so n will equal, let me get my calculator, 128 divided by 25.6, and we get 5. And so that is our final answer. And again, if I wanted to, I could plug it in and evaluate to make sure that the left side equals the right side. I believe, yeah, this is our last problem. You rake leaves for 2 hours on Saturday and 5 hours on Sunday. Your neighbor pays you $63 in total. How much do you earn per hour? So we're wanting, again, that's per tells me I'm multiplying. So I worked 2 hours, but I don't know how much I got paid per hour. So I'm going to put 2 and then X for my payment on Saturday, and 5 hours on Sunday, and we add those together and we should end up with $63 in the end. And so 2 plus the same side, and we have variables on the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to combine them. 5 plus 2 is 7, so we have 7x equals 63. And then we divide by 7 to get x by itself, so x is going to equal 9. So we get $9 per hour. And that's our answer. Okay, so those keywords again that help us get through our problem. In this case, we had our numbers, hours, and we were given a total. So until next time, 8th graders, deuces.